JB here, JB here. Hope everyone's doing outstanding. Wednesday, August 6th, 9:04 a.m. Talk really quick about the market, some names I'm looking at. Go from there. S&P futures slightly in the green here, up about 0.2%, off the overnight highs, but also not in the red. So I guess that's a good thing, but I hate the gaps. Yesterday we were had a much higher gap, and we reversed that after the services data that came in at near a contraction level at 10 a.m. We'll see how today plays out. I had the little slide up yesterday of you have, I forget if it's UBS or Bank of America or one of these firms coming out with commentary in regards to the non-farm payroll revisions, the downward revisions, and is that associated with higher recession probability? It's like, like sometimes, like I understand they come out with this commentary. It makes sense to do it. Just like if any of the data comes in lower than expected or negative, I mean, doesn't that just in itself raise the probability of a recession, even if it's 0.000001%? Hey, maybe it's just me. But then that services data yesterday, that kind of put another notch in the recession argument, I guess you would say. It feels like we're back in April almost, where just difference back in April is people were saying we were in a recession, right? Now it's the probabilities are increasing of a recession. So, hey, not here to brush it off, sweep it under the carpet. Certainly, I'm open to. You got to have an open mind because if you're just stubbornly stuck with your blinders on, that's how you get killed. So, anyway, in regards to the SPY, we'll see what happens here today. Not much in the way of catalyst. It seems like a lot of it's headline driven. So we've had some commentary around that. Well, we had earnings and earnings. It seems like recently, especially with some of these more watch names. I mean, outside Plantier, it seems even decent earnings or great earnings are being sold. You take a look at AMD, and obviously we've had big runs off the April lows. AMD is up like 70 something percent since April lows, but great earnings. And, it sold off. Who knows if that bounces? Some are saying maybe it's pointing to signs that China's in a recession. I don't. So that was AMD. Supermicro as well after the close. Unfortunately, hurting Dell. I haven't looked at Dell recently because it seems like it's just killing premiums. Dell's lower here in the pre-market. And then this morning, you had names like McDonald's, Uber. Uh, Actually off the lows here, and Uber's pretty much flat, so that bodes well. And then there's, I think, over 300 companies reporting after the close tomorrow. So, after the close today. So certainly gonna be interesting. Oh, and Shopify, right? Wow. Uh, has that moved? Yeah. Wow. Almost 150. Gosh, playing that was $90 or $80 back in April when I was playing the calls. All right. So that's kind of the overall market. Still watching. I put it on the watch list and I had on the watch yesterday, 626. That's kind of like my line in the sand. So if we break under that, I'll be getting some hedge puts, whether it's SQQ calls, ServiceNow puts, Broadcom puts, uh, things like that. My concern, if we break 626, I would say there's a pretty good chance that we go and revisit last Friday's lows around 619. Hope that's not. I don't give that a high probability, but certainly open to that. So, and I guess taking with a grain of salt, small caps outperformed yesterday. Small caps are up almost 3% this week, but last week they were down 4%. So, kind of just recouping some of the gains, some of the losses. And then the VIX was only up 2% yesterday, despite the nearly 0.5% pullback on the S&P. So always try and keep perspective with a glass half full mentality. Or at least that's how I look at it. All right, so that's kind of the overall markets. Individual names. So, Lemonade this time yesterday, I think Lemonade was like 40, 41 in the pre-market. I had on a watch. I'm like, oh, I'll play some calls and show some strength at the open for a possible squeeze. And then it opens, and I'm just watching. I'm like, oh, looks like it's going to move. I start looking at the 45 strike weeklies. I'm like, oh, too pricey. Then I go out to next week, 50s, then the 55s, and then all of a sudden it just starts spiking. And then I'm like, I can't get these 50s for next week. Let me look at the weeklies quick. And I'm trying to get the 50s, and the stocks are like 42, trying to get them at 20 cents, then 25 cents, and boom, I got filled at 30 cents. I go to send out the alert, and boom, it like just took off. It was almost in dollar increments, 42, 43, 44, 45. So I was able to close some of the calls out for 100% within like 5 minutes. And 10 minutes later, able to close some more out for over 400%. I just held the rest. The thought process here will be depending on what it does here today. I think 53 and change is the big spot. So if you can get there, I think there could be some blue skies. That's kind of, still has a huge short interest. A lot of folks who are not believers in the story. I think Oppenheimer came out yesterday with like a nothing has changed kind of commentary in regards to the earnings. So kind of like a blah, I put in the watch as blah. Last November when the big rally happened, it happened earnings. So earnings, I think, went from the 18 or 20 to 28. And then some analysts came out and like upgrade the stock or gave it an upgrade, and boom, that was the next leg to run, and boom, it just took off. So I don't know if it needs that, but we'll see here today if it has some continuation. A short squeeze could be the next catalyst, right? Uh, so just holding the rest of those 50s. Obviously, got to close them out before the expiration Friday. But if it rallies today again, it gets over 50 bucks, I'll probably close the last and then look for some strikes the next week. But like the lemonade story, 53 and change the big handle there. Um, and then this morning I had on the watch list yesterday, Align Technologies, right? And I was watching it last week for earnings, and then it just got pummeled. And the earnings weren't like a disaster, but I guess when you have a company that's has high expectations and grows, people worry that hey, their market leading position is at risk, or the competitive concerns, or whatever it is. But it wasn't like a huge miss, and the company's like fundamentally sound. It's not like the company's leveraged to the gills, trades. Yeah, it has no small cash and lots of debt on hand, or whatever. No, it's a great company. Trades, I don't know, two, 3 times revenues, 900 million in cash, $11 billion market cap. The CEO just bought $1 million worth of shares on Friday, and then the company announced they already have a $1 billion stock buyback authorization, so they have plans to buy at least 200 million. I it's just I think it bounces, right? And 142.50, that's the spot from back in February it tested, and that's the spot it hit on Friday, or at least that's where it closed. So that'll be the big spot. Then 147.50. So if it starts getting over 142.50, I'm gonna get some strikes into next week. That's a line. SERV had some great news after the close. I wouldn't even call it great news, but it's just like another a piece of just another company that's partnering with Uber and SERV in regards to food delivery. At the Shake Shack, they have 7-Elevens, and now we have Caesars. Pizza, right? That's what I think of when I think of Caesars. Obviously, done a great job marketing, if that's how I think of them. Never had them before, but opening up their delivery in Los Angeles. So just another platform or company that's going to use the SERV service. And they have earnings after the close here today. So hopefully some positive updates. I think any positive spin in the stock takes off. My thoughts there. I posted yesterday in regards to, just these metro areas where you have this last mile of delivery, food delivery, product delivery, or what have you. This company is just, it's on the cusp of just supplanting a lot of the manual transportation now, the bikes, right? The scooters, the things like that. So not only that, when you take a look what SERV the robots do, you have pizza. It can fit four pizzas boxes in the robot, and then it has its temperature, like it holds the product safe, right? Not only is you're not gonna get the cheese to slide off, but also it's gonna keep it warm, right? So anyway, love the story. So that's SERV. I think 13.75, then 18 bucks. JOBY reports after the close today. Oh, SERV is tomorrow. Is it? Yeah, server box is tomorrow. JOBY reports after the close today. Blade Mobility just announced that think the company is going to be able to announce something on the earnings after the close today. Who knows what that looks like, but all joking aside, it was red yesterday. I'm like, is JOBY allowed to be red? Just a massive run. It's almost like take some of the froth out heading into earnings. I think that's a good thing, right? Because a lot of times when you see these stocks just monster into the earnings report, and then the earnings are great and it still sells off. Hopefully that won't be a sell the newsman after the close today. Positive updates, and then trades into the 20s and holds there. That's JOBY. And then just other names I'm looking at, UNH, I keep bringing it up. I brought it up yesterday morning and yesterday afternoon. It just, was a name I traded for a bounce, I don't know, couple months ago. And then it's one of those names you look at and it's like, wow, this thing was 500 bucks or 600, whatever it was, 600 and whatever back in April. And it's like, this thing's got to bounce. And then it bounces, it gets everybody in, and then it tanks. And then, okay, it's going to bounce. And then it goes to 400 and it bounces and then it tanks. And then it goes to 300, bounces, and then it tanks. So it's like pretty much pulled everybody in. So everybody you see on FinTwit is either probably in a position that's deep underwater or been trying to play a bounce for the last 2.5 months with no success, right? So unless you timed the bottom yesterday or Monday afternoon, you're underwater on call. So I don't want to be another one of those folks that are trapped. It seems like there's a lot of people in this boat, but at some point you have to think it bounces, right? So JP Morgan reduced their price target 100 bucks, rated the outperform rating. I don't know when it starts to move, but I'm certainly more open to adding some calls here than I've been in the past. So don't be surprised if I add some lotto calls. Uh, Added those Reddit strikes yesterday. Nice positive piece in the Wall Street Journal this morning, just on the heels of all these other positive commentary that I've read over the weekend. Right, the human element with Reddit, their margins, 90% margins, 70 plus revenue growth, just monster report, and you have to think that just continues. So, I I thought it was going to break out once it broke 208 and just take off. It didn't. Found some pressure. Actually closed under $200. I'll be watching again today for some more opportunities. It's trading almost flat here in the pre-market. CDLX reports earnings after the close today, so fingers crossed. Still plenty of time on my calls. The other part of it is you had open after the close yesterday, and open just laid like an egg. So that whole meme craze and that guy saying, "Oh, open's an $80 stock." Maybe in the year 2060, I don't know, but they talked about scaling back on home purchases, home sales, just the whole. Their guidance was like cloudy, saying the environment with housing is just they don't see it improving anytime soon. So I don't know if that takes the wind out of the sails of some of these meme stocks, but we'll see with that. I keep looking at Fubo. That deal with Disney Hulu. I'm still surprised this thing hasn't recouped those. Well, at least moved back to that level. I think it was six and change at the start of the year. You also have that news yesterday after the close, ESPN and the NFL with a partnership. I mean, how is Disney not higher on that news? But here it is at 117. And that's it. And then, on the flip side, I'm still open to both sides. So if we do break support, I was looking at 630 at the 630 break yesterday, but you look at some of the names and small caps were strong relative to the pullback. So I'm like, I don't think anything, I don't think we're in get put mode. So I just held pat, stood pat. At some point, I'll look to get some hedges if we break 626 on the SPY. And that's it, folks. Let's have a great day. I'll be back. Rock and roll.